The year was 2008, February 13. It was my first winter, and the idea of frozen water on the ground was new to me. It was about 10 degrees that evening, and we were walking from our home to the laundromat. Under the train tracks on Thorndale, water had been dripping all day, becoming ice as soon as they would hit the ground. There I am, 10 years old, walking confidently under those train tracks. Until it happened. I slipped and fell, head first, violently hitting the ground. I quickly learned that everything hurts a lot more when the weather is 10 degrees. That day, I began one of my most tumultuous relationships. That day, I began my relationship with Chicago. I spent many years upset, asking my mom, why Chicago? Why not New York or LA or a place where fun things happen? I didn't even realize the city was shaping me in the process. When we first moved, we moved to a red building in Edgewater on Thorndale and Winthrop. Back then, it was considered a low-income, dangerous neighborhood. But it was beautiful. It was different from anything I've ever experienced before. They say it was dangerous, but I would get on the red line, the 22nd, the 36th, the 151 at any hour, and I never really saw anything happen. Well, except that one time when there was a shooting on Thorndale. Till this day, I still know all of the stops on the red line. Howard, Jarvis, Morse, Loyola, Granville, Thorndale, Bryn Mawr, Berwyn, Argyle, Lawrence, Wilson. We were freshly arrived immigrants from Mexico, and it was such a diverse community that I got to meet freshly arrived immigrants from Burundi, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, Nigeria, Pakistan. It was a whole different world. I took a dance class right here when I thought I wanted to be a dancer. My sister got hit by a car right here, and we experienced Snowmageddon from our home in 2011. Winters back then used to hit different. And then it started to get too expensive, and my mom lost her job, so it was time to move. We moved to Hermosa Park, Fullerton and Killer. Not as pretty. It took a really long time to adjust to our new place. That particular winter in 2013 was brutal, and it was also my first year in high school. Senn High School. That was the only thing that I had left behind in Edgewater. I had to get accustomed to commuting on CTA alone. How lucky was I? I got so accustomed to navigating the city. Back then, it was the 74 and the red line to attempt to be on time to Senn High School. Later, we moved to Armitage and Costner, a little deeper west in Hermosa Park. And the winter only got worse. I would have to ride the Armitage bus, the 73rd, and then the brown line, and then the red line, and then maybe I would be on time to Senn High School. The silver lining was that we found Taqueria Nuevo León. Best tacos in town. We affectionately call it Los Clandestinos, since the taqueria is in the back of a little market. Till this day, we still go at least once a week. Finally, by the spring of 2014, we moved to Logan Square, Diversey and Lawndale. And suddenly life looked better. I transferred to Shy Arts to be a creative writer. My commute now was the 76 and the 94, Humboldt Park. I was now an intrepid of the city. I would take the bus anywhere and everywhere. My favorite route is the 56, the Milwaukee bus. I would take it at Logan Square, and it would take me through Wicker Park, River North, and then downtown. And then I would take it back. I would do that recreationally. I would sometimes skip school only to see streets I had already seen 1,000 times. And yet, I kept swearing I hate Chicago. Any day in February, it turns dark by 4 p.m. and there is nothing else to do but to go home with wet feet and cold hands. And I would be faced with my own loneliness. In Chicago, it's only my mom, my sister, and I, and a terrible sense of loneliness, one that becomes more apparent during winter, with cold weather and a sense of helplessness. And then in March, they turned the river green for St. Patrick's Day. The days start becoming longer and warmer, and the promise that things will get better starts growing with the dandelions. It was during the spring of 2014 that I started doing theater in the Flatiron Arts Building in Wicker Park. I found a passion, a sense of community, a reason to thank Chicago. And yet, I still wasn't happy with this place. On this street, I got chased by a dog in the summer of 2019. Stupid Chicago dogs. I wanted to go to DePaul, but I couldn't afford it, so I ended up going to Harold Washington because I was not going to go to Wilbur Wright. Then I made the move from Harold Washington to Columbia College. And on the evenings after Columbia College classes, I would walk to the Soldier Field to see the Chicago Fire play. Back then, tickets were $20. Now that Messi is in the MLS, tickets are $300. Fuck Messi. By the time I got to Columbia College, we had already lived through the uncertainty of a pandemic, and yet Chicago didn't let me down. It didn't leave me unprotected. I was able to keep my job at a coffee shop. I was considered an essential worker doing the tough job of keeping scared Americans caffeinated. But that wasn't my first job. My first job was at a place called Soup Bars on Wells and Washington, although I only lasted a month. After Soup Bars, I moved to the Hatch Chicago, where I lasted 3 years. And just so you know, a Chicago dog has mustards, tomatoes, onions, pickles, sports peppers, relish, and celery salt. Once I got tired of street food, I made my way to Gallery Cafe. I blinked and realized that 18 years had gone by since I moved to Chicago. Much of my time here, I have always felt like there is something missing, like I don't belong. I didn't ever quite fit in. Something was missing between me and Chicago. And now I know that I was so wrong. My connection to this city runs so deep. There isn't a place I don't know, a neighborhood I haven't walked through, a bus I haven't gotten into. There are many lessons that I have learned from this city. The most important one is to never run after a bus because there's another one right behind. There's always an opportunity for an adventure, a community to meet, and a park to walk. There is this legend that says that if you fall in the Chicago snow, you will never leave the city ever again. So imagine my surprise in 2018 when I attempted to make my dream come true. I tried to travel to New York, only to get stuck in an immigration detention center in Sandusky, Ohio, for a month. Every day of that month, I prayed to be able to come back to my home in Chicago. And the miracle happened. I was able to come back to Chicago. And I remember that evening of February 13th, when I hit the ground so hard. That was my first tie to this city. A bond that was strengthened by every event, every story that I have built in this city. Truth be told, and this will be the only time that I ever acknowledge this, I've never hated Chicago. In fact, I love Chicago. I love Chicago as much as Chicago loves me. On the day that I leave this city, I will leave my heart behind. And I will take and cherish every story that I have of Chicago. Chai City, Chirac, the Windy City, my city.